expression that we kept hearing from this president during his campaign: build back better. And he has lived that every day that he's served in office. And the American Jobs Plan, there's a sign right there, the American Jobs Plan is proposing to do just that. I think about the fact that every so often we get graded on our infrastructure. Structural engineers, they come out, we get a letter grade. I've seen some states get failing grades. Certainly, we're not getting A's and B's. If we're going to build back better, I think I want to aspire to us all being straight A students, right? And building an infrastructure that is resilient and is going to last. I think about the jobs unfinished. We know these days that access to high-speed broadband is a necessity, just like electricity a couple generations ago. We know if you don't have it, people are being left behind in multiple ways. But we haven't finished the job, especially as it comes to rural America and rural Wisconsin. We know that lead lateral pipes in homes and schools bring lead-laden water to too many children and families. But we haven't finished the job of removing those lead laterals. We also know that if we reach these aspirations of building back better, that it is literally across the United States going to create millions of good-paying union jobs and strengthen the ranks of organized labor. We have a tremendous opportunity. That opportunity is presented as part of the bipartisan plan that Ron Kind was just talking about, but also there'll be extra work to do beyond that. And that means making sure that our workers have what it was required to get the job done. That means a complement to the bipartisan bill that involves making sure that kids have safe childcare while mom and dad work. So, this is a moment of extraordinary opportunity, and we can't let that opportunity pass. I am thrilled to introduce to you someone who needs no introduction, but I remember well campaigning with him a few years back on an old school bus where he got a chance to experience the roads that he pledged to repair on a school bus where he was focusing on education. We have a real partner, a partnership between the federal government, the state government, local government. Please give a warm welcome to Governor Tony Evers.
Good afternoon. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here in beautiful La Crosse. The sun is out. It is not out in Madison, so the sun is out here, and it's out because we're here to welcome President Biden back to the great state of Wisconsin. The president and his administration have made Wisconsin a regular stop because they know how important a dairy state is to the health and wealth of our nation and in recovering from this pandemic to move forward together. Whether it's getting vaccine shots in the arms or the support of the American Rescue Plan Act, we appreciate President Biden's continued commitment to ensuring our state and country recover together and move beyond the coronavirus pandemic. With the help of everybody, from our federal partners to our state agencies to our local and county and also tribal health departments, Wisconsin is bouncing back and better. We continue to be a national leader in getting available shots in arms, and our unemployment rate has nearly returned to pre-pandemic levels. But in order for our recovery to be successful, and President Biden knows this as well, we have to do what I like to call connecting the dots, which is just to say we have to see how each issue in our state and country affects all of them. Whether it's supporting working families with affordable, accessible child care and health care, investing in job training and transit to help folks get to work, ensuring clean air, land and drinking water for the health and wellness of our communities, or bolstering our agricultural and rural communities with broadband access. We've got to connect the dots to ensure that every kid and every Wisconsinite has a chance to succeed. When I ran for office, I said we're going to fix the darn roads, and we've got to work doing just that. That's why I'm especially glad to see the President's commitment to investing in our infrastructure. From expanding broadband to replacing lead service lines to transitioning to electric transit, much like what we will have in La Crosse, these investments are exactly what we need to keep bouncing back from this pandemic and continuing our economic recovery. And this plan is proof that we don't have to choose between mitigating climate change and protecting our environment and good-paying jobs and economic development. These goals are these are not mutually exclusive goals. We can and we should do both. Wisconsin is ready for bold and urgent solutions to address the challenges we're facing in the 21st century. And we're excited to get to work in the efforts of President Biden to support our state. So with that, it's my pleasure to welcome President Biden to Wisconsin. Thank you.
tip all on it. Now, baby, whether I'm high or low, baby, whether you're high or low, you got to tip on the tightrope. Yeah, tip on the tightrope. Baby, baby, whether you're high or low, baby, whether you're high or low, tip on the tightrope. Baby, let me see your tightrope. And I'm still tipping on it. I tip on alligators and little rattlesnakers, but I'm another flavor, something like a Terminator. Ain't no equivocating. I fight for what I believe. While you talking about it, just talking about it. Some calling me a sinner, some calling me a winner. I'm calling you to dinner, and you know exactly what I mean. Yeah, I'm talking about you. You can rock or you can leave. Watch me tip without you. No, 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 whether I'm high or low, whether I'm high or low, I gotta tip on the tightrope. Baby, baby, whether I'm high or low, I got to tip on the tightrope. Now, baby, tip on the tightrope. You can't get too high. I said you can't get too low. 'Cause you get too high. No, you surely be low. 1, 2, 3, now. Yeah. Yeah. Now shut up. Yeah. Yeah. Now put some voodoo on it. Ladies and gentlemen, the funkiest horn section in Metropolis. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh! We call that classy brass. Gotta keep my boo. I gotta my darling, gotta keep my darling, I gotta keep my darling queen. Do you mind if I tell you where you can lay it? Just like a lady. Do you mind if I tell you where you can lay it? Just like a lady. If I play my ukulele, if I play my ukulele, just like a little lady.
Black beauty with the face that screams. She was a vampire, the ghost of New Orleans. French color off a bunch of train. She told me secrets since then I haven't been the same. Hey, she is so got soul every night and day.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome La Crosse MTU bus driver and proud ATU 519 member, Laurie Netterlow.
It's in my blood and it's all around. I love you now like I loved you then. This is the road and these are the hands. From Mozambique to those Memphis nights. The Khyber Pass to Vancouver's lights. And knock me down and back up again. You're in my...
Thank you, everybody, for coming. My name is Laurie Netterlow. I am a bus driver for the city of La Crosse. I am a proud member of the ATU Local 519. Public transportation has been a very important part of my life since I was a child. It's how I got to school and work. It's always been a vital service for myself and our entire community. It is necessary for our success. I'm honored to have the opportunity to work with 47 incredible employees at the ATU Local 519 who help people that may not have their own means of transportation to access the necessities of life. Many of our employees are the first and the last person our passengers may see on any given day. That simple interaction can play a major role on how someone's day may turn out. It's truly amazing what bus operators undertake on a daily basis, working long hours and ensure safe and reliable service to our community. In order to have successful transportation service, we need better roads, better bridges, and clean, renewable energy to properly serve our community. I am proud to say that La Crosse has led the way on this front with the introduction of hybrid buses and future electrobuses in our fleet. Every town has a role in the fight for clean energy, no matter how big or small we are. We are doing our part to make this happen. The American Jobs Plan will have a huge impact across the country, including right here in La Crosse. It means less potholes, better roads, better bridges, and cleaner energy. These things are vital to the success of our city, our state, and our country. President Biden's vision reveals the potential of our workforce and unlocks the American dreams. This opens doors and creates opportunities for everyone to succeed. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Laurie. Please sit down. I once said that in a big crowd, it was in the evening. I said, please sit down. And there were no seats. They were out in the football field. And the press pointed out, Biden's losing it. But I could see you all had seats. Laurie, thank you very much. I told Laurie when she was showing me the bus that she's driving now, back when I was in law school, I drove a school bus during the summers to pick up spending money. And from one bus driver to another, Laurie, I want to thank for all you do to make this city run. You help folks get where they need to go, and you do it in a way that sometimes is not always easy. I'm glad to be here with great Wisconsin leaders. Gov, I guess I landed at the airport just a few minutes before you did. Thank you for making the effort to be here. My good friend Tammy Baldwin, Senator Baldwin is here. Congressman Ron Kind is, and Mom, thank you for raising a good kid. And Mayor Reynolds, I was telling the mayor he just won re-election. He won election. And I said, you know, I always wonder about anybody who runs for mayor because it's the hardest job in American politics. They know where you live. You can't go to the grocery store. Why is that pothole still there? I get it. You don't even control that. But anyway, Mr. Mayor, thank you for your service. Thank you for willing to serve. I'm here in Wisconsin to celebrate a step forward for my country, our country.
Talk a little bit about what it's going to mean for working families here in Wisconsin and across the nation. When I was sworn in 5 months ago, I pledged to put my whole soul into bringing America together. I said I was running for 3 reasons, the last one of which I said is Unite America. I admit it's difficult, and I think some of my friends in the press thought it was impossible. I still don't think it is, but because I believe that there's nothing we cannot do if we come together as a nation, Democrats and Republicans. And we're really divided on a whole range of things. But if you look back across our history, from the Transcontinental Railroad to the creation of the internet, you can see the truth in that idea about coming together. Because America has always been propelled into the future by landmark national investments. Investments that only the government has the capacity to make. Only the government working together could make. Today happens to mark, it's coincidental, but today is the 60th anniversary of one of those significant investments that changed the nation. 65 years ago today, President Dwight Eisenhower signed a bill that created the interstate highway system. 65 years ago today. That was the last infrastructure investment of the size and scope of what the agreement I'm about to talk about today. It's time for us to write a new chapter in that story. After months of careful negotiation, of listening, of compromising together and in good faith moving together with ups and downs and some blips, a bipartisan group of senators got together and they forged an agreement to move forward on the key priorities of my American Jobs Plan. And one of them sitting in front of me. As a result, this is a generational investment to modernize our infrastructure, creating millions of good-paying jobs. And that's not coming from me, that's coming from Wall Street. Millions of good-paying jobs, and positions America to compete with the rest of the world in the 21st century. Because China is way outworking us in terms of infrastructure. It's going to make the world of difference for families here in Wisconsin. Here's what it's going to do. This deal will put American workers to work in good-paying jobs, not minimum wage jobs, not $15 an hour jobs, prevailing wage jobs, good-paying jobs, repairing our roads and our bridges. You all know why that matters. 1 in 5 miles of highway and roads in America are in poor condition. 1 in 5 miles. Some states it's worse, where the weather is tougher. 50 years, 50% of our bridges are over 50 years old. More than 1,000 bridges here in Wisconsin are rated as structurally deficient by engineers. 1,000, just in Wisconsin. And that doesn't make Wisconsin better or worse. It's all across the nation. It's this way. There are bridges, the 10 most traveled bridges in America need repair, and some need to be completely rebuilt. More than 600 here in the state of Wisconsin. Bridges have weight limits to prevent trucks from crossing. That means long detours for farmers heading to market. It's more than just an inconvenience, it's about safety as well. In November 2019, a school bus in Arcadia, Wisconsin, tipped over going around a curve and went into a ditch with 20 students on board. It wasn't because of snow or ice. It was just an old country road with rough conditions. Thank God nobody was seriously injured at the time. But this is a drain on our economy as well. Typical American, and it varies slightly from state to state, but the typical American pays a hidden tax of more than $1,000 a year in wasted time and fuel due to traffic congestion. Now, in the more rural the areas, the less the congestion, but it creates other difficulties. You all know that feeling, losing time, sitting in traffic, or being rerouted because the bridge isn't wide enough, or the road is poorly maintained. This deal is going to put Americans back to fixing all of that and good-paying jobs. This deal will also put Americans to work replacing 100% of our nation's lead water pipes. You know, there's 400,000, well, I won't get into the numbers, I get a little carried away, but it's really dangerous that every single American child at home or in school will soon be able to turn on that faucet and their moms and dads know that the water they're drinking is clean and safe. To give you an example of why that matters, just look at the city of Milwaukee. Milwaukee has more than 160,000 water service lines. More than 70,000 of them, nearly half, have lead service lines. And by the way, it's not picking on Wisconsin, Gov. Every state's like this, but just to know what you're going to be doing for the state of Wisconsin here. You know, we know that exposure to lead in drinking water can trigger a number of serious problems. Even low levels of lead can cause behavioral and learning problems in children, impairing their growth. There are up to 10 million homes with lead pipe service lines and pipes. Children in up to 400,000 schools, 400,000 schools and child care facilities are at risk of exposure to lead. This deal contains the largest investment in clean drinking water and wastewater infrastructure in American history. This deal also provides something you're very familiar with in the island. Provides funding to get dangerous chemicals out of our water systems, known as PFAs, or forever chemicals. This is a problem all across the country. And I know that you're feeling it right here in La Crosse County. Just this spring, the state had to provide free bottled water to thousands of people on French Island because they were worried about those chemicals in the groundwater, which were linked to cancer and other illnesses. We'll pay for that. We'll get that done. We're also going to surge federal resources to help address the forever chemicals, not just here, but all across America. Unfortunately, Wisconsin is not unique in this problem. This deal will also put Americans to work building transmission lines, the largest investment in clean energy transmission in American history. Power outages cost the U.S. economy up to, now this is, you know, we know this, but until you add it up, it doesn't seem to be that big a deal. It cost the economy, Congressman, $70 billion annually. You hear me? Nationally, $70 billion annually. And as climate change induces extreme weather events more and more frequently, we need to make investments to build a more resilient grid to carry this electricity. Majority of the nation's grid is aging. Some components are over a century old, and 70% of the transmission and distribution lines are well into the second half of their lifespans. You saw what happened in Texas this winter. The entire system in the state collapsed. The entire system. That's why we have to act. This deal will modernize the power grid, be more energy efficient and resilient to and resistant to extreme weather. Resilient against bad actors who try to hack and attack the grid, because I spent a lot of time in Europe trying to work on that. And it's going to strengthen and revitalize our natural infrastructure, like our coastlines and levees, while preparing our physical infrastructure for wildfires, floods, and other extreme weather. Anybody ever believe you'd turn on the news and say it was 116 degrees in Portland, Oregon? 116 degrees. But don't worry, there is no global warming. It doesn't exist. It's a figment of our imagination. Seriously. When a severe storm rolls in, like you had in some parts of the state just recently, the power is going to be less likely to go out. Town water systems will be able to withstand what happens if we once we make these investments. And as all of you know, America is one of the highest road fatality rates of anywhere in the industrial world. Let me say it again. The highest road fatality rates of any industrial nation in the world. I lost a wife and daughter and almost lost 2 sons. Look, our fatality rate is double the rate in Canada on a per capita basis. I bet every one of you here can tell me what the most dangerous intersections in your town are. I'll lay 8 to 5, no matter what the town is. Maybe you don't have many, but everybody knows what intersections are the most dangerous. When you're teaching your kid to drive, what do? You tell them, no, don't go down that road. When you come home, I'm being deadly earnest. When you come home the other way. Well, guess what? We got an agreement to invest $11 billion to help cities and locales reduce crashes and fatalities in the communities, especially for cyclists and pedestrians, which are increasing significantly. This deal is going to more than double the funding directed to state and local programs that improve the safety of people and vehicles, including highway safety, truck safety, pipeline and hazard material safety. I won't even get into this now, but you know, we have thousands of miles of pipeline. The vast majority of those pipes are 60 years or older. Some of them more than 80 years old. A lot of them are leaking. This is the United States of America, for God's sake. What are we not doing? This deal will also help high-speed internet and make sure it's available to every American home, including 35% of rural families who currently go without it. As of last spring, more than 82,000 children here in Wisconsin, which prides itself on its education, didn't have reliable internet access at home. Think about that year and year of remote schooling, when so many of our needs and our connections were forced to move online. Tens of thousands of Wisconsin kids got left behind. Did you ever think here in America that kids would have to sit in a fast food parking lot just to do their schoolwork and homework because they could connect online? Not a joke. Ask any mom who has kids in school or dad who's taking care of them. No child should have to do that. And no farmer here in Wisconsin should lose business because they don't have a reliable connection to the internet, no one to buy, no one to sell, and know what's going on. You know, back in 1936, the federal government brought electricity to nearly every home and farm in America, and it spread the opportunity out for cities in every part of the country. It changed the lives and fortunes of thousands and thousands of homeowners, thousands of hometowns, and millions of American families. And it set the stage for a massive, sustained economic boom that would follow World War II. High-speed internet is the equivalent of that today. It's an equivalent of that. It isn't a luxury. It's now a necessity, like water and electricity. And this deal would provide for it for everyone, while bringing down the cost of internet service across the board. This deal has also put Americans to work through a first-ever national effort to install electric vehicle charging stations. 500,000 charging stations nationwide along our highways and in rural and disadvantaged communities as well. Think about what that can mean to the American auto worker and the future of electric vehicles. China is going full bore. They're providing more electric vehicles than any nation in the world. You know, it used to be, when I first got to the United States Senate, in the 60s, when I was getting out of late 60s, getting out of law school, what happened? We invested more in R&D and investment in manufacturing than any nation in the world. Now we're number 8 in the world. China used to be number 9. Now they're number 2 in the world. And when you build a charging station, it spurs even more investment and more infrastructure around it. The local convenience store, the local hamburger place. You know, think about, nobody's old enough, but my dad used to tell me, because he worked back in the days for the American Oil Company. They came along with the automobile combustion engine. You needed to be able to put gas in the engine. In the car, the tank. Well, guess what? You had to build gas stations. One of my dad's jobs, my grandpa Biden's jobs, was to go from city to city, convincing them it was okay to bury these great big tanks with gasoline in them. And entire communities grew up around it. Well, this is exactly what we have to do with regard to electric vehicles. This deal is also going to help our cities, our towns, our school districts deploy electric buses 35,000 electric school buses are accounted for. And there are about 475,000 school buses in this country. 95% of them, like the ones you had here, is he okay, honey? Sure? He took a little bit of a tumble. 95% of them run on diesel. So every day, more than 25 million kids and thousands of bus drivers breathe polluted air on the way to and from school. Diesel air pollution is linked to asthma and other health problems. It hurts communities. It causes students to get sick and miss time in school. We owe it to our kids to clean up the school buses, and this deal will help do just that. I know that the city of La Crosse is getting 2 electric transit buses this fall. I think I saw them both. I was down in the Carolinas looking at the bus company where we were going to buy them. Charging stations to power them. This bipartisan deal, by the way, you had half Republicans and half Democrats come along and present this deal and negotiate this deal with me. It's going to help advance that effort. This deal also modernizes our outdated airports, ports, and waterways. That means fewer delays that drain away so much money from families and from businesses. There's no good reason why that zero of the top 25 airports in the world are American. Zero. Not one in the United States of America. This deal will put Americans to work through long overdue national environmental cleanups. It means good paying jobs, capping hundreds of thousands of abandoned oil and gas wells that need to be cleaned up and capped. Methane leaks, protecting the health of our communities, making the same money it took to dig that well. And there's thousands of them. Not to mention, this deal represents the largest investment in American passenger rail and in freight rail since the creation of Amtrak. Now I know I'm Mr. Amtrak. I've traveled over 2 million miles in Amtrak. I commuted every day. I get it. I know you think I'm nuts. But after my wife and daughter were killed, I decided to commute back and forth to Delaware. It was a 257-mile round trip. I'll tell you a real quick story. I shouldn't bore you with it, but you know, the Secret Service, they're the best in the world, doesn't like you taking Amtrak because it stops too many times on the train. They want me flying home, and the small jets are available as vice president. But that costs a lot of money, so I would go home on Fridays because my mom was passing away. I'd go home on Amtrak. And they keep fastidious record of the miles you travel in an Air Force aircraft as president and vice president. And toward the end of my term, headline came out in all the papers, Biden travels, I think it was 1.3 or 1.7 million miles on Air Force planes. And so I'm getting on the train on that Friday, and these guys all became my family, all the conductors. And a guy named Angelo Negri came up and he goes, "Joey, baby!" He grabs my cheek like that. And I thought they were going to shoot him. I really did. I said, no. He's a friend. He's like, what the hell? And he said, "Big deal, Joey. 1 million, whatever it was, 300,000 miles. You know how many miles you travel on Amtrak, Joey?" And I said, "No, Ange, I know." And he said, "At retirement dinner, we calculated it. We estimated 127 days a year, 250 miles back and forth, 36 years. Then as vice president, Joey, you travel more on Amtrak." Well, and when they named a station after me in my city, someone complained that Biden was using his influence. I said, hell, they should name the whole Northeast Corridor after me, more than anybody else. But all kidding aside, studies show if you can get to your destination in the same amount of time or less on rail than you can by car, people will take rail. And Gov, you know this better than anybody. Imagine if you could get from La Crosse to Chicago in 2 hours instead of 4.5. That's what this would allow us to build the capacity to do. And besides, it would not only make your travel easier, I don't know why I'd go to Chicago, but you know, all kidding aside, it would reduce the largest source of pollution in America, vehicle travel. We aren't just tinkering around the edges here. We're going to invest $66 billion in rail to eliminate backlogs, bring world-class rail service to areas outside the Northeast. Here in Wisconsin, we'll add new stops in Green Bay, Madison, and Eau Claire. This deal also makes the largest investment in public transit in American history. A whole lot of people here in Wisconsin depend on public transportation, like the bus system here in La Crosse, to get to work, to school, to get around. Because of this deal, it'll be easier, quicker, cleaner, more frequent, and more reliable. More transit options mean more people can access good jobs as well. One study found that it leads to higher wages for workers because businesses can attract more customers with the rail. This bipartisan breakthrough is a great deal for the American people. Not just for folks in cities, not just for red states or blue states, but for everybody. The jobs that are going to be created here largely will be those for blue-collar workers, the majority of whom will not have to have a college degree to have those jobs. A lot of those folks are being left behind now. The guys who grew up with in Scranton and Claymont are being left behind. This is the answer for good-paying jobs. Jobs not just in our biggest cities along our coasts, but in small towns across the country. So families can build wealth and opportunity in rural hometowns and don't have to leave when they're grown up. I've said it all along. This is a blue-collar blueprint to rebuild America. And long before families in Wisconsin are going to see the benefits firsthand. Look, I'm always quoting my dad because he was smart and I loved him. My dad used to say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about your place in the community. I mean, he really would say this when he lost everything in Scranton and we had to move down to Claymont, Delaware, a little steel town. And he said, and the deal is going to deliver breathing room. All he said was, all you want as a middle-class person is just have a little bit of breathing room. Not just a little bit of breathing room. That's why we got to build this economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not trickle down. Creating good-paying jobs with dignity and jobs that cannot be outsourced. And critically, we're going to get it all done without raising taxes on a single American earning less than $400,000. Now, all of you making over $400,000, I love you. But I don't mind a little bit if your taxes go up a little bit. But all kidding aside, I made a commitment. I would not support anything that raised a penny in tax on someone making under $400,000. And that means in this bill, there is no gas tax. Working families have already paid enough. Instead, we're going to pay for these investments in part by giving the Internal Revenue Service the resources it needs to collect taxes on the wealthiest Americans who owe and are currently not paying under the existing tax rules. And by the way, it's not done by this, it's done by conservative economists and liberal economists. It cracks down on tax cheats, not just hardworking middle-class Americans. And there's a lot of important investments in this deal that are long overdue. Economists of all stripes agree that it's going to create good jobs and dramatically strengthen our economy in the long run. It makes it easier for businesses to seamlessly transport their goods. It makes it easier for workers to more easily access job opportunities. But the reason this agreement matters so much is about what it represents. This deal isn't just the sum of its parts. It's a signal to ourselves and to the world that American democracy can come through and deliver for all our people. We can be united. I just met with the G7. I just met with all of NATO. I just met with Putin. The autocrats think that democracy can't keep up with autocrats. Not a joke. But as living proof, we can still come together in this country and accomplish something big and transformational. I know that neither the Democrats nor Republicans get everything they want in this agreement. It's not all that I propose. But that's what our economy is all about. That's what it means to compromise and reach consensus. And that's what in the heart of every democracy. And we can't give up on what we've keep finding ways to come together. Because every time we negotiate in good faith and come together and get something big done, we break a little more of the ice that too often keeps us frozen in place and prevents us from solving the real problems people are facing. Let me be clear, there's much more to do, and I'm going to continue to fight for more. I'm going to keep working with Congress to pass even more of my economic agenda so we can keep building an economy from the bottom up and the middle out. As we bring home key parts of my American Jobs Plan, I'm going to make the case, and I've told this to the negotiators, I'm going to continue to make the case that critical investments are still needed, including those in my family plan, American Family Plan. Maybe the most important among them is extending the child tax credit, which will significantly benefit middle class and working folks. Let me explain what that is. Pretty soon, taxpayers in America are going to get a significant check back from the IRS. For example, if you have to pay taxes and you have a good income, you get to deduct $2,000 per dependent, per child. And that comes off the bottom line of your taxes, and you probably still owe more after that's cut off. But for families who in fact don't have that big a tax bill, they don't get anything from this. So we changed the law this year, and it's cutting child poverty by 40%. And here in Wisconsin, by July 15th, they're going to start they're going to be picking up the phone and calling you and say, thanks, God. They're going to get checks from the IRS. Here's what it is. For every child you have under the age of 6, you're going to get $3,600. And for every child under the age over the age of 12, you're going to get $3,000. So you'll actually get a cash payment instead of just a credit against your taxes, because you don't pay that many taxes if you're making the minimum wage, or you're making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year. And people say, well, that's a giveaway. Hey guys, I think it's time to give ordinary people a tax break. The wealthy are doing fine. I mean it. I mean it. Why is this not a tax break for working folks when the stuff we give to the super wealthy are called tax breaks? Look, major action on clean energy, housing, caregiving, on child and paid leave, universal pre-K, free community college. The human infrastructure is intertwined with our physical infrastructure. It's going to help us create more good jobs, ease the burden of working families, and strengthen our economy in the long run. And I'm going to be out there making the case for the American people until this job is done, until we bring this bipartisan deal home, until our human infrastructure also needs are met, until we have a fair tax system to pay for all of this. And by the way, what I'm talking about in the family plan, let me tell you how I'm going to pay for it. And the American people in the polling data overwhelmingly support it. If we just raise the corporate tax to 28%, it used to be 35%. It was supposed to come down to 28. It's now at 21. If you raise it to 28%, you know how much money that raises? $1.4 trillion. If you have a minimum global tax, which we agreed to in Europe, that means so corporations can't avoid paying the taxes at home. That would generate in America $385 billion. If you end deductions for foreign corporations who ship their profits out of the United States, that raises $260 billion in these tax havens. You know, there are 30 corporations in America, the Fortune 500, making billion. I come from the corporate capital of the world, Delaware. Not a joke. More corporations are incorporated in Delaware than all the rest of America combined. Okay? Well, guess what? 15 of the Fortune 500 companies last year paid 30 zero taxes. They made billions of dollars, paid not a penny in tax, not a single cent. I'm not trying to punish anybody. I'm just saying, let's be fair. If you just set up a minimum tax, you had to pay at least 15% of your earnings as a corporation. That alone would raise $230 billion. The point is, I have never had a reputation of being someone who's out there trying to just out-tax people. But here's the deal, folks. I think it's about time there be fairness in tax code. I don't want you paying more than your share. But the tax cut that was passed under Trump for $2 trillion, not a penny of which was paid for, where'd it go? Over 80% of it went to the top 0.25%. I think you should be able to be a billionaire. I think you should be able to be a millionaire. But for God's sake, at least pay. Pay your fair share. Pay your fair share. Folks, there's a lot of work ahead to finish the job I've just outlined. There'll be more disagreements to resolve, more compromises to forge along the way. But today, the American people can be proud that Democrats and Republicans, families here in Wisconsin can be proud, Congress can be proud, because this country came together, forged a bipartisan deal that a lot has to do with your state, your senator, that delivers for everybody. We've shown the world, and just as importantly, we've shown ourselves that American democracy can come through. There's nothing beyond our capacity when we come together as one nation. So thank you, Wisconsin. Thank you all for who you are and what you do. May God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you.